Alright, so season 2.
So season 2, I think, would have started in sixth form. At this time, we're doing boss stuff. So it was time to get serious.
Yeah, and cadet was like
Intense.
my life.
I was doing Red Cross.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of stuff. It was just intense. Sixth form was intense. We were really busy, and then the relationship started to decline.
Yeah, and I felt perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, so it started to decline. We started to kind of go down. We weren't spending as much time, and I felt abandoned. I felt like I was just not in. So we became head boy and head girl, so it was cute, it was adorable. We would have had high points and low points, but at that stage, you remember how in fifth form and fourth form it was sweet, and we still kind of had the title boyfriend girlfriend even though we were just friends. Now in sixth form it was no longer sweet, it was business.
It started out still sweet.
Yeah, naturally.
In
and then we would
sixth
have
form,
sweet moments.
and then we would start to have sweet moments interspersed with just business. If you want us to talk, we need to be talking about something.
Yeah,
we need to be planning something. We need to be
So we were head of the debate club. You were like president for Red Cross. I was vice president. You were like president. You're
debate Red Cross. There was
cadet.
something else.
It was heads and deputies.
Yeah.
We were head boy, head girl together. So it was always about business or worship. So we're either studying the quarterly or talking
planning
about
some Glenn or
events.
something.
Yeah,
that's
so that
true.
was what our life came to, and I hated it.
So
He never realized.
It transitioned from mainly sweet interspersed with a little business, and then basically mainly business interspersed with a little sweet, and then it just got strictly business.
Yeah.
So by the time we reached upper 6, it was just strictly business.
Yeah.
There was barely any feel. Well,
Or
from
any
my
friendship
side,
either. It wasn't even friendship anymore.
It was just cut and dry.
Yeah.
This is what we're here to do. This is what we do. And then because I knew that this was something good for us in that
It
we're
looked good
good
on
for
paper,
each
we're good
other,
for each
and
other.
you know, I just kept on going with it. And
Same. It looked good on paper too.
yeah, it really did look good on paper.
Because we're head boy, head girl. That was nice.
Everybody thought it was super
It was like
cool.
power couple.
Yeah.
It was goals. It was beautiful from the outside looking in, but from the inside, he was emotionally absent. I wanted, because at this point I'm starting to get older. You know, we're 18 now, 17, 18 at the time, and I start getting more exposed to what relationships supposed to look like. I realized that I want more from this, and I used to ask for more. I wanted him to talk to me more. I wanted us to plan something and do things together, but he didn't wanted any of that. He wasn't at a place emotionally where he saw that as important.
So we kind of now getting to the point where
Start grow apart.
yeah, I wasn't very interested in this lovey-dovey thing any at all. I just, you know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It is what it is. If you feel a way at this point, I saw it go. And retrospectively, and I should say this, at least I should say it publicly, retrospectively, that was a very, very cold place to be.
Yeah.
And I really feel it for anybody who is there and like me, you're oblivious to the fact that you're doing a lot of harm in the process.
Making you just leave than to
It
kind of
really
stay
would
and
have-
string on somebody.
It really would have
'cause
made sense.
It was painful and at
really
this
would
point, but me and my mommy, we had a very good relationship from back then, and I would tell her everything, so she knew I was dating Zandra. I mean, she loved it. Every parent would have want you for them daughter at the time, because I mean, them know that, like, everybody knew that Zandra would be a good boyfriend. So my mother knew, and she was okay with it, right? And I would say little things to her, and I would say,
my parents also knew
but they
that we
acted
were
like they never
together.
know.
Mommy kind of tried to be awkward, trying to do sweet things for you through me. It was kind of weird. Daddy did say it a couple of times, like we would be in church and like the pastor said, I remember at Spiritual Church one day, and the pastor said something like, fathers, you must talk to your children about, you must talk with your sons. It was like Men's Day. You must talk to your sons about relationships and stuff. And then Daddy leaned over to me and said, Zo, how's Zara doing? This just got so awkward.
Yeah.
So they knew, and we would kind of skirt around it, but we never spoke openly about it.
So at this point, I was talking directly to mommy, and I was, you know, kind of telling her straight up, you know, Zandre not doing what he's supposed to do, blah blah blah. And I was like, if you feel like you're unhappy, then why are you staying? And I used to say I get so much attention from other guys, you know, and that was maybe one of the biggest things where, because at this time, you know, I was doing well in life. 18 was a good year for me. I don't go into 18 was a good year. I was blossoming. My skin was glowing. My hair was growing. It was a good year. I
believe her. I was just about business. It was just, I remember even saying to Brandon that, you know, Brandon is a friend of mine from high school. I remember saying to Brandon, both of us were like nerds together. And I remember saying to him, looking on the guys who had all the girls and them, you know, the footballers, everybody, I look upon them. I remember saying to him, listen, you can watch them guys that all you want, brother. But in 2 years' time, when we are in university shelling it down, all the girls them going to come to us because all of them are going to cuff out life. And that's all that I was thinking about.
Rude.
I know it was rude and it was very,
but at the time,
it was very conceited.
Full of yourself.
Very much so. And I mean, I've matured past that, thank God, because I'd be a horrible human being. But at that point, that's where my headspace was. So this whole relationship thing was really so far back on the back burner.
So why you take up with people them daughter?
To me, at this point, if it work, it work. If it don't work, it don't work. But yeah, I really was not there emotionally. And I remember summer before we started university, I was doing an engineering camp thing. I was, as I said, nerd. I was doing an engineering camp thing, and I remember Jordan looked at me one day when we were on a field trip, and he said, "How is wifey?" I said, "Wifey?" Like, it didn't even ring a bell. Honestly, guys, and I'm not saying this to say be like me at that stage. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that, you know, I was cold. I was very cold. Anyway, it did not even ring a bell. And I said, "Oh, Zara, she's supposed to go now. Wait, let me see if she messaged me."
Maybe 2 days ago.
Yeah, there was a message from like 2 days before, and I never replied. And then I was just like, you know, I can't even bother. And I just put on back the phone, and I was just very much not there.
Yeah.
And then he asked me if everything was okay. Kind of brush it off, and he kind of was saying, "It don't look like everything alright. You're sure everything alright?" I'm just saying, "Yeah, man." And that is when now I started to think that, you know, maybe everything is not alright.
So we transitioned into university, still in season 3. Season 2, I mean. I had big plans for what I wanted the university to be like. You don't see my testimony video. It never really went that way. But we started off just on a different footing. Because I would have started losing what we had in sixth form. Then of course, remember that I was learning God through him. So at this point, I started becoming spiritually weak, and I had a plan for university. I was going to be a hot girl. I'm going to figure out life, and we never, at this point, we are so distant from each other. It was like, what Zondra's opinion never really mattered. I just figured we were growing so far apart that eventually we would break up. Because one time, Uncle Dexter did say to us, say, you know that one day eventually go break up. You're not going to just have this story where you're going to be together forever. You need to meet other people and whatever. So I thought that, okay, obviously, it's like a natural separation.
Yeah, I also got similar advice from somebody on my side who said, you know, it's nice what you guys have. I love it for you and I wish you guys all the best. But don't think that you're likely to keep that fire right through your entire life and get married and live happily ever after. That's not going to happen. Because you guys have been together for so long. You don't know what else
you don't know who else
is there. You know, yeah, you don't know what other experience, you know, there is to be had. So with that in mind, and the fact that we now came to university, I was like fighting really hard to maintain my spirituality on a secular campus, where for the first time I realized that people don't wear half as much clothes as they're supposed to wear. And I would look through my window and I would just be like, oh Jesus, don't look through the windows, Andre. You know, it was that kind of a space. Realizing that it was that kind of a space, I really wanted strong spiritual support. And I felt like I wasn't getting it from Z. And at the same time, I wasn't giving her any emotional support at all.
Just no support, full stop.
No support, yeah, no support, full stop. Yeah. Like we just were not there for each other any at all.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one trip. It was like that, the freshers cruise.
In my defense, I never knew it was a party.
Yeah, basically that.
Yeah.
And that kind of just did it for me.
Yeah, and then I think it was either that evening after coming from the trip or the day after we sat down and had a conversation in your room when we were in first.
Yeah.
We're living on the same hall, by the way, the ELR Towers Hall. And at this point,
yeah, so we sat down and had a very mature conversation.
Yeah.
And she said to me, you know, you've been distant. And I said, it's true. And then I said, so what do you want us to do about it? She said, I don't know. What do you want to do about it? Is this that we're breaking up? And I said, you know what?
Let's just take a
break. I think we both need to go breeze out some things and figure out life. And then if we want, we can come back to it later on, but no strings attached. We just go our separate ways and we try again later if we need to.
I mean, we left on amicable ground.
Yeah, we really were. We left in terms of we separated as boyfriend girlfriend, but really all that did was that it removed the label.
Yeah,
but nothing else changed.
Basically,
nothing else changed.
Because you still kept emotionally distant, but you still supported me as a friend.
As a friend, yeah.
And I tried to do that as well. And we shared, because at the same time his sister was still my friend, and we were in Adfel together, and we had the same friend group, so I couldn't get rid of you. We lived on the same hall, we were still involved in debate, we still were involved in a lot of similar activities, so you can't get rid of him. You see him every turn you turn. Boy did I.
And yeah, and I guess, you know, I thought that whenever we're ready,
was good.
Yeah, whenever we're ready to move on, we just do a thing called we're good. You are you, I am me, and all is well. So that brings us basically to the end of season 2.
Yeah, well, it was in that time when I thought that the break was supposed to finish after about 6 months, because I figured that it's a break. Not sure, we never said we were going to break up. We just said we're going to take a break. So it was after
we
that.
We never said we're going to break up?
No, we never said that we're going to break up. Yeah. We said we're going to take a break.
Yeah, so there were no strings attached. If we come back together, we come back together.
But I never that in my head, so I kind of put myself in who don't want to say her during that time.
Alright, so welcome to season 3.
So into season 3 now. And as I say, I'm hurt because I expected him to come back. He didn't. And I remember one day him telling me how much he love him life.
I was enjoying like the freedom.
Him love him life. Him love the fact that him can do him one. One time I hear him say him love be single. So at this point we're going into 6 months to a year of just being friends. And one thing that remained constant though, that we were very good friends.
Yeah.
We used to always be bickering though.
Very much
and
so.
If Millie used to pinch me, or Zandy would have said, today guys, please be nice to each other, because at the time Zandy is like 2 years ahead of us, so she was kind of already settled, and we'll go over to her house for lunch and stuff, and she'd be like, alright, now come over today. It's one go come, please. Behave on yourself. In that way today, because it would just be, and we would blow up at each other. And but you know, when a guy likes a girl, him pick on her, and him this one never emotionally mature enough, so him just used to trouble me all the time, and he used to piss me off so much.
Guys, I was so emotionally dunce.
He was so cold. When me tell her say, but anyways, it went on.
I don't think we're going to fight it.
Yeah, we eventually had to plan all her stuff. I felt kept on throwing us back together all the time. And I know I would have said to you guys, I would have been in the 3 different relationships with the same person, and him always I talk about. Because after going back and forth and stuff like that and spending more time with each other, he decides to come. At this time, you know, I started dating other people, you know, going out on dates, meeting new people. You know, not all of them did match, most of them. Good guys are hard to find, okay? So I started meeting other people. He started meeting other people. We were living our lives. And then, you know, I re-found myself spiritually, this time by myself, which was maybe the most beautiful thing
that happened during that season.
Best thing that happened during that for me was a highlight of this season of my life.
Yeah.
The fact that because I lost him, and I lost that kind of 3-way relationship that I had with him, me, you, and Jesus, then I had to now find God for me, from my perspective alone, and to rediscover who Zara really was. And like mentally right now, goosebumps are full me, because it was the most beautiful thing ever. And it helped me a lot through just my entire journey, because sometimes you make adults out of relationships, and God knew that, especially in university, He needed to have Miss 30.
And to be honest with you, Zara knows this, that to this day I feel bad for how I treated her during that season. And retrospectively, I was a terrible person to her. like guys, don't do that. Like, especially if you have a conscious awareness of it. To be honest with you, most of it was done unconsciously. I just was not emotionally mature enough to see it. It just seemed like I was just living my life, and you must live yours too. And as I said, not making excuses, but I do find solace in the fact that that was probably the best thing that could have happened to us, because it showed me like that I never had the responsibility, certainly not at that time, nor did I have the ability to bring somebody else spiritually. So I needed to figure that out myself.
And I definitely needed to figure that out myself too.
Yeah.
So
I think what that did for you is that it gave you now an opportunity to build a relationship with God for yourself, which is just tenfold more important than attempting to latch on to a relationship that I'm having with God, kind of as a three-way thing. That don't make no sense. So even if that's how somebody gets drawn towards God, because the other person is kind of pulling them towards God, there comes a point when you need to realize that it's not the true in a relationship. Certainly not at that point. We're not married or anything.
Because you need two solid people.
You need two solid people, exactly.
Right. And it was during that time, and it's interesting because it was during that time when I'm learning how to become a real woman of God, and learning how to look for a godly relationship, what that looked like, and what being a godly partner meant. So no, I wanted to become a whole person, and that's why I can talk so boldly on YouTube and stuff about finding you and becoming that woman of God as an individual, because there is no way you can fully serve another person who is spiritually mature or who is chasing after God if you are not. And God does not want you in that child of God's life to distract them. So at this point I started praying for a godly relationship. So this was all of first year, all of second year. As a matter of fact, I never dated anybody at all in first year. I wanted to use that time.
Meanwhile, I had no interest in any relationship of any sort. It was just me and my goals. It was just me and my goals. And I mean, I remember reading messages to young people during that year. I remember starting to consistently have worship. Every time I sit down to study, I would have worship, and it was a blissful period of working on me and God. It was me and God. It was me, God, and somebody else. It was me and God.
That season was a lot of me and God. A lot of me and God. And I knew that when I started dating again, I knew exactly how I wanted it to look. I was so self-assured. I knew who I was in Christ. That I knew my identity, and I wasn't going to allow anybody to stop me. So now when people ask me stuff like, how can you discern a man of God from a person who's not a man of God, or it's easy to get blinded by guys who come. No, I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. I think if you focus so much on your relationship with God, nobody can come take you for public show, because a lot of them tried, but none of it worked, because it's so easy. You just ask God for discernment, in a heart, and then I mean
it's simple.
But
I don't know if it
takes surrender.
It really does, and that's the hard part. It really requires you, because I obviously had a similar situation at that point where I was working on me and on my relationship with God. And I realized in that time that, listen, if you even want a shot at a relationship with God, you have to be okay to really get whatever hand He dishes out for you. And you have to trust Him so much that you're okay with anything He gives you, even if it doesn't look like what you want. And for me, how that translated is that though I wasn't actively searching for a relationship with another person, it translated to a lot of just observing people. Especially being the guy who would need to make that first move kind of thing to say, you know, would you like to go on a date with me or whatever.
A lot of girls would try to be visible in front of you. You used to just ignore them. You used to see them, especially in an ad film.
Honestly,
I'm not trying to be shady, girls, but I saw y'all, okay?
yeah, and I never even saw them. No offense.
But we did see them because we did still kind of sad. I understand.
I see. I see. But I really wasn't interested because I knew that the next relationship I'm going into it with just as much concreteness as I went into the one at 15, knowing that the only person, certainly initially it may have been persons, but eventually the only person that I'll be in a relationship with is the one who I want to marry. And I mean, it can get to a point where you realize that you're not going to marry this person, and it means you need to break up your relationship.
And you move on.
And go to somebody else and you try to figure it out there. I'm not recommending serial monogamy necessarily, but I'm saying that
other people.
So that's the thing now, right? I'm saying all of that to say I actively asked questions in my mind, and even some questions openly.
Him look at a girl here.
But I never really went on dates. I went on 2 dates, and we called none of them dates. We just happened to end up at the places.
They were dates.
Sure. I concede.
There were dates on there.
I concede that there were dates, but what I'm saying is there was nothing romantic about it. There was nothing like I come and I said, would you like to go with me, and a candle lights, and it was nothing like that, guys. Like, I do that kind of stuff with her because, you know, we're in a relationship.
I got a ring, okay?
I never said about the girl.
What did I say?
I never said what the date was.
No, we're not talking about the date. Ding dong. Alright, next part of the season.
Okay, so at this point I start to realize that my eyes are open. I'm seeing other girls.
You start looking around and realize that there's nobody else like Zara.
Basically, exactly what she said.
There's nobody else like
I just really wasn't finding anybody else that was my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And I felt like, you know, maybe that means I should reconsider having a relationship with her.
Yeah.
If she would allow me.
After 2 years of me doing me, living my best life, I'm totally healed now, doing my thing. I remember I'm not even trying to toot my horn, but I had suitors. Guys were pursuing me diligently. You understand? I went out on dates. Guys opened door. The whole works.
And she used to tell me about them.
Yeah, because I want him to be jealous. Because I still want him in the back of my head. And I said, come like the youth. And I mean, at the point when I started to live my best life and started getting over him, 2 years later, he comes back. And he comes back confused. So
what happened is that Norville and I had a conversation. And he basically he sat me down and he said, on a big man level,
we were going into third year.
Yeah, because Norville is 2 years ahead of me. He was in final year at the time. And you know,
you want some water?
You want water?
We've been talking for a while.
Alright, give me a second.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I spoke with Norvs, and, you know, he was saying, what want for your life? You know, big man conversation. What are your plans? Where you at? And it came at a point where I don't know if he understands how much it did for me, but it really, really put into perspective the fact that, I mean, I think he may have said it explicitly, but I was soon going to be finished with school with good grades and a nice prospect for the future in terms of academics and career and so on. But then no life outside of that. And would I be okay with that? Because I'm investing no time in my emotional development. I'm investing no time in anything outside of academics and my spiritual life. Really, it was just those two things. Those were only two domains that I really cared anything about.
Yep.
And honestly, it did drape me up. I appreciated the conversation, but it did drape me up, and it really got me thinking.
So after the conversation with Norville, he still was confused. Yeah. Because what he was saying was that he doesn't want to. He know he likes me. Loves me even.
Love you. Love you.
But
intellectually, I knew it was the thing to do.
Yeah.
And emotionally, I was mature enough to know what was going on with my emotions.
Yeah.
But I knew that I wanted to explore more. I didn't want to commit. And the truth is, when I'm committed to something, I'm very committed to something. Or if I'm committed to someone, I'm very committed to that person. I never really wanted to commit to her that early.
Yeah.
Early.
Yeah, I mean,
you know.
Andre said to me, say, if we get together, how many people, if you can have how many years of law school and mid school, and if you meet one person per day for the next, I think we had 2 more years left in school. So if we met one person every day and you multiply that by blah blah blah, how many people you had try, why you would have called somebody a girlfriend from now? Because he was saying that if he's with me, he knows stuff about me, and there's no getting to know phase. So it's like you said, if you talk to me, it's going to be marriage. And I mean,
honestly, it scared me.
Yeah, it scared him.
The prospect of committing to somebody who you already went through that initial phase with, you know that the next step is going to be courtship.
Yeah.
I certainly had an intellectual appreciation of that. Emotionally, I may not have really understood it, but intellectually, it just never sat right with me.
Yeah. So, remember, girl did not flourish. Girl was in her prime. Girl was getting suitors.
Oh, that is true. 100% so.
And the guy come take me up back. Him come back around and he pursued me again. So this was the second relationship that we were in. 2 years after. And he was like, let's try this again. Let's not put a label on it and whatever. I mean, I like him. So it was easy to fall back into his.
That wasn't the time when we said not put a label.
Oh,
this time we labeled it.
We
said, okay, we're coming back boyfriend and girlfriend.
And
because I knew intellectually that it was probably the best thing that I could have done.
Yeah.
To be in a relationship with her. She was the best person out there for me. And even though emotionally I wasn't there, I really felt like, yeah.
And then, that was maybe about the March, because March was a retreat. So it was like March. We're together, we go out on a date and stuff. It was nice, it was sweet. We were, was kind of finding each other again. I went on work and travel with me. In my head, I go on work and travel. And, I have like a long distance thing going on. And I met a friend on work and travel for the first time, Dina. Dina is my spirit animal lover. We're so much alike. It's pretty uncanny actually. And I met Dina and I told Dina about this guy, and Dina was like, so what's the plan? You're going to get married to him and stuff? And I was like, I don't know what the plan is.
She was a story of
and she was like, oh, you mustn't know what the plan is. You're in, because at this time where I was going into 3rd year, and she was like, you're going into 3rd year. I don't understand. How can you not know what the plan is? I go for your cup soup.
You can go for your cup soup.
Alright, go on for your cup soup. So Andre had his cup soup, and then now he might have some cookie. Anyways, how the story goes was that now Dina was asking me, so what are you guys on on the serious, and what's the plan? And then I say, we don't really have a plan, or we just kinda, we don't really know. But nevertheless, I started to think and I asked him about it. Ladies and gentlemen, I would have said, what are we? Like,
first of all,
where do you see us going? Do you have any plans for us for the future? What may I do? May I waste my time?
Yeah, so those were the questions that she asked me, and then I said, like, what you mean? Because honestly, this is the first time I've ever asked questions like that, right? So I said, like, what you mean? And then she said, like
marriage?
Do you plan to get married to me? Friends?
I mean, honestly, I wasn't even looking for yes, I need to get married to you next year.
Honestly?
I just wanted I'm serious about this, and yeah, I see you in my future. Because what else may I waste my time? If other guy come to me and tell me say, oh, them want to marry to a woman like me, why may I waste my time with you? I mean, if you know what we are.
Me hear the word marriage
and him freak out.
I don't make me turn idiot. Me not tell you no lie. I didn't know. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to have a conversation that serious. So in my mind, I was going to get married after the 8 years finish. I remember med school is just halfway through at this point. Internship, SHO, none of them time are not accounted for as yet. So this married thing is 10 years down the road in my mind. As I say, I never thought about it before. So
yeah, so it was weird for him. So told him after he has a week, and
I completely turned idiot. And yeah.
Told him after a week he can think about it, and then after the week was finished, I went to him, because during that week he behaved the most. He was just so bad behaving. Everything bad that him could have do, like he was absent, him don't talk to me, you know, him not return my calls, all that, everything. Long story cut short, right? And I went to him and I was like, you don't have to tell me a decision. I know exactly what's up. You see me more, you still see me more as a best friend and a girlfriend. And I just started crying. And he was like, yeah. So
my account of that is a little bit different.
Okay.
From my perspective. When she walked out of the room, having asked me the question, I thought about it for maybe about 5 seconds after she left. And then my way at the time of dealing with hard to process emotional things is to sweep them under the rug. If you sweep it under the rug, it will disappear. That's what I thought. Obviously, you know, you're older and wiser. You learn from your dumb mistakes. But I swept it under the rug. Suffice it to say, it was safely tucked away under the rug for the entire week. I was at the time in charge of planning the Blue Mountain hike for Adfel, which would have been the following Saturday evening. So I was under pressure to execute that. And on the Saturday evening, as in the next Saturday evening, which is now when we're leaving to go for the hike, I'm in my room, my door is wide open, and I'm packing my stuff in my Alice pack to go on the hike.
No one named Alice pack.
My backpack.
Okay.
To go on the hike.
Such a nerd, oh my gosh.
And honestly, I hadn't given it one moment more of conscious thought. Retrospectively, I really was being mean to her that entire week because, you know, it was kind of loaded. It was loaded. But as I said, emotionally I wasn't there. I glanced funny sometimes.
Every now and then, I remember.
Yeah, but basically, she came to me while I was packing my bag to leave. And she said, how are you? And I said, I'm good, you know. I try to hurry up and pack up them things here so I can go catch the bus, come and go over there, you know, and get the people them ready. And she said, did you think about what I asked you to think about? I said, oh, no, you know. Honestly, I never remember to think about it. But
boy,
you can...
Wait, made it tell a story to make you sound like a more humane.
But you know, guys, I'm not sugarcoating it because I was there. I'm not there again, and thank the Lord for that.
Trying to go for salvation.
Don't it? But I really was cold, and I said, you know, give me until Tuesday. Let me think about it. She just said no. You don't have to take any more time to think about it. I think you've already made up your mind. You see me more as a friend, and even a best friend, than as a girlfriend. And that's fine. And she just started crying and she just stormed out of the room and she just left, and I was just like...
I knew at that point, I remember I was different from the girl that I was a couple of years ago. I knew what I wanted, and I also knew what I would accept. And when I tell you that I've always, the 2 years before that, when I was learning me and understanding me, I had high standards and I was committed to getting them in no matter what way. And if you, even though I liked you, I loved you actually, but if you couldn't deliver, then I was gone. It would hurt. But I was at that point where even though it would hurt, I had to walk away because, I know me a good girl. And
that was reasonable, honestly.
Me is a good girl, and good girl deserve good treatment. And if good girl not get good treatment, I'm joking. Forget to like real upstanding citizens are going to be watching this. Yeah. But yeah, I knew what I had to offer, and I knew that I would come good. And because I knew I would come good, I knew that if you were not going to be okay with it and you never want to step up, I just had to be okay with that.
Yeah, it's reasonable. I can't fight that. It really was a reasonable decision. But when she walked out of that room, I was absolutely devastated.
Feel like 2 seconds.
Feel like somebody take a dumpster truck and run me over. But in true Andre style, sweep it under the rug.
Yeah.
Continue pack my bag, finish pack the bag, and I went on that Blue Mountain hike, and I kid you not, guys. If you ever want to forget about something, go on a Blue Mountain hike.
While for me, Hagley Park was having an all-night prayer and fasting, and that's where I ended up. That night, I'm gonna stop at KFC. Because I mean, KFC make you feel better, and then prayer and fasting is a very good combination.
You go to KFC on your way to prayer and fasting.
Something wrong with that? We get the physical food first, then we go get the spiritual food.
So you skip the fasting part, alright.
I never go for fast.
You go for prayer?
I go for prayer.
Alright.
My broken heart. So that was relationship number 2. So this is the end of season 3. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to split this video. So if you're interested in hearing how season 4 unfolds, I mean, obviously we're together, so
something must have happened.
have happened. So if you're interested, just check out the next video.